Okay. I'd like to call this meeting of the Natrona County Planning and Zoning Board to order. It's 5:30 on January 11th, 2022. And I don't see it on here, but we usually do the Pledge of Allegiance, so let's start with that. We had a flag.
It's behind the thing.
I see that. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I don't have a sheet, but I could introduce everyone if you'd like. You're the only. Charmaine Reed is the Deputy County Attorney. Jason Gutierrez, Board Member. Robert Grant, another Board Member. Hal Hutchinson, the current Chairman. Chad Zeal, Board Member. And Matt Mitchell, another Board Member. And staff over here, Megan Nelms, Holly Wilhelm, and
Lori Hall.
Lori Hoff. I didn't know
She's your new
Lori.
secretary. Yes,
Okay, great. So, welcome.
thank you.
First order of business, election of officers for 2022, Chair and Vice Chair.
You need a
Open for
nomination.
suggestions.
You need a nomination?
We need nominations.
Motion to nominate someone for,
I nominate Hal Hutchins for chairman.
Nominate Jason for vice as long as he's willing to serve.
No matter what.
Do we need seconds or?
I would second the motion for Hal Hutchinson as chairman.
I'll second the motion.
For Jason.
Jason, thank you, Simon. Careful, please.
Okay, I would be amenable to accepting if voted in.
I also would accept the nomination for vice chair.
All right, with that motion and a second for Chair and Vice Chair, all in favor of Hal Hutchinson for Chair, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now for Vice Chair, all in favor of Jason Gutierrez as Vice Chair in 2022, signify by saying aye. Aye. I think we're set. Thank you. And I will say that, thank you for the support the past year. It's been great working with you guys. I look forward to another adventure-filled 2022. And we got new staff folks, and that's been fun to fun with the changes we've had with that, and look forward to a great year of Natrona County Planning and Zoning. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Anything, Jason?
No, I have nothing further to add.
Okay.
Looking forward to it also.
All right. Okay. Next item on the agenda is consideration of minutes for Planning and Zoning Commission, 3 sets, September 14th, 2021, October 12th, 2021, and November 9th, 2021. November 9th was a workshop. We didn't actually have any business, but we did have a meeting. So, Chair would entertain a motion for approval of each of these three or all at once?
I think you can motion to approve them all at once, unless there's any amendments to implement.
motion to approve minutes from September 14th, October 12th, November 9th.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? That looked good to me, I think. Yeah, Eileen Hill was the only question I had. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the three signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Okay, for our first item of real business, I guess the rest of it was, but this is the reason we have folks here in the audience today. It is consideration of zone change 21-007. That is the Sutton rezone, and it involves a request to rezone 20.24 acres from SR1, Suburban Residential 1, to UA, Urban Ag. So, Megan, may we have a staff report, please?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, Board, again, it is case number ZC 21-007, an application for rezoning. The applicants are Ross and Christy Sutton, and they're proposing to rezone their existing 20.24 acre parcel from Suburban Residential 1 to Urban Agriculture for the purposes of adding an accessory dwelling unit. It's located in a portion of the southeast quarter, southwest quarter, section 25, township 33 north, range 80 west, which puts it on the east side of Squaw Creek Road, approximately 1.5 miles south of the intersection with CY Avenue. The minimum lot size for urban agriculture district is 10 acres, and there's currently an existing single-family dwelling on the parcel as well as 2 accessory structures. They utilize an on-lot water well and an individual septic system. And for planning considerations, the rezoning request is in line with the current Natrona County Development Plan. The parcel lies within neighborhood 21, the Wolf Squaw Creek neighborhood in the 2016 future land use plan. The plan recommends residential infill along with some commercial for future land uses. So the request to rezone is in line with current and suggested future zoning in the neighborhood, which includes agriculture and residential. There are no planning considerations, and all future development will be subject to the UA Urban Ag zoning district requirements, and any future divisions of the property proposed will be subject to all county subdivision regulations. And with that, staff recommends approval of the rezoning request. And I can answer any questions, and the applicants are here this evening.
Any questions for Megan? I guess I had a question. If they wanted to subdivide that, they could do that even with 20,
They could even with the 20 acres, because
okay, so
the 10-acre minimum lot for
depending on how
UA.
this goes today, if that didn't work, they could apply for simple subdivision.
They could, or, if they create the ADU and in the future want to sell it to a ranch hand or somebody that wants to purchase it, they'd still be eligible to subdivide.
Okay. All right, Megan, thank you.
Thank you.
So would the applicants like to come up and address us and tell us what you're doing and please? First, we have to start with your name and address.
I'm Ross Sutton, 5223 Squaw Creek Road.
Christy Sutton, 5223 Squaw Creek Road.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So can you tell us what brings this on and what are you guys trying to do?
We have an accessory building right now that's kind of a tack room, and our plan was to maybe convert that into a small dwelling,
Guest house. Yeah.
That's the word, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why we thought when she came to the county, it sounded like we had to rezone it, so that's why we're here.
Okay. Any questions for the Suttons? Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you guys very much.
Actually, I think you get to come up once again. Oh, okay. So, okay. This is to open the public hearing for the consideration of ZC 21-007. That's a Sutton rezone. Anyone in the audience like to come up and speak in favor of the rezoning?
Okay, here we are. Yes. we
Give us a
wish.
thumbs up.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
okay, thank you very much.
Good job, Mr. Chairman.
It's
All
been a
right.
month. Over a month, 2 months.
Seeing no one else in the audience, I will not even, well, I'll ask. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to ZC 21-007? Seeing none, close the public hearing and open the application up for comments from the commission. Jason?
Mr. Chairman, my only comment would be, according to our current zoning resolution, there are 6 criteria that we should act upon, at least one of those 6 criteria when approving a zone change. And in my mind, there's perhaps 2 of these 6 that would apply in this circumstance. That would be number 5, the land or its surrounding environs has changed or is changing to such a degree it's in the public's interest to encourage redevelopment of this area to recognize changed character. Or number 6, the proposed rezoning is necessary in order to provide a land for a community need that was not anticipated at the time of the adoption of the development plan. And I guess I should back up. There's also number 1, necessary to come into compliance with the development plan. So the development plan talks about residential. Urban ag is also residential. Them having an accessory building that they want to have as a guest home could be a need that wasn't anticipated during the time of the adoption. So I guess my 2 cents is we ought to use one of those criteria to, when considering the zone change, if in fact it's an approval type consideration.
Outstanding insight, Jason. Thank you. Any other discussion? I have a question. So I guess I'd heard through the grapevine that we do have a response from the neighborhood, and I think it was in opposition to the application. Could you let us know about that, please? Holly or Megan?
They made an official complaint over the phone, not any written documents, no emails, no letters came to us.
So we just received a phone call from the surrounding.
Yes, they were just concerned of a possible use that they wanted to change it for.
So it
Okay.
sounds like we just had an inquiry from surrounding property owners, not an official opposition.
Okay. A possible concern, but maybe an uninformed inquiry. Okay. So, Megan, would you like to address Jason's insight, please?
Yes, so Chapter 10 of the zoning resolution for zone map text amendments does state that the commission and board shall be guided by Chapter 1, the intent and purpose, the goals and policies of the resolution, and in addition, the rules require that evidence is provided that the zone change meets at least one of the criteria that Commissioner Gutierrez referenced. And as he stated, staff would agree 5 or 6 are definitely qualifiers for the reason for the zone change. I think the commission will see in upcoming steering committee meetings and with the adoption of the amended zoning resolution, we'll take a look at these criteria and binding ourselves to these. Generally, on zone map amendments and zoning resolutions, legislative decisions like this, zone map amendments, we just want to see that we're consistent with our adopted plans, that the zone change is consistent with the district uniformity, so consistent with other properties zoned, in this case, urban ag surrounding it, and then that the map amendment furthers our public health, safety, and welfare for which zoning is enacted. So, but yes, thank you to Commissioner Gutierrez for pointing out our criterion, and staff would still recommend approval that the zone change request does meet at least one of the criteria listed in the regulations.
So as I understand it, if there indeed is a motion made for approval, that needs to include the criteria that or at least one of the criteria that Jason mentioned, or two.
At least, I believe it says, will meet at least one of the following criteria, so.
Okay.
I would recommend then, yes, that your motion include one of the criteria.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Megan? Hearing none, Chair would entertain a motion for consideration of ZC 21-007.
Mr. Chairman, I would so move that it meets criteria number 6. The proposed zone is necessary to provide for land for a community need that was not anticipated at the time of the adoption. The community need being a secondary housing on that same piece of ground.
Outstanding. Any second?
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second on the application. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of ZC 21-007 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the Natrona County Planning and Zoning Commission recommends due pass for ZC 21-007 to the Natrona County Commissioners. And Megan, I guess it's up to you to let them know when they need to show up for that meeting.
Yes, and the hearing is scheduled for February 1st, and the Suttons will be there.
Okay, great.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Good luck with remodeling the tack barn. All right, second item on the agenda this evening was a recent development, and on our agenda, it is the Casper Mountain Development Moratorium. So Megan, would you please provide us a staff report for that item?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and Board. So this agenda item is a recommendation by staff proposing a moratorium on development applications for Casper Mountain until completion of the Casper Mountain Land Use Plan update and adoption of the updated zoning resolution. So as the Planning Commission is aware, the county is currently in the process of updating the Casper Mountain Land Use Plan, which is a guiding policy document, as well as the county zoning resolution in anticipation of amendments to the subdivision resolution. The county recognizes the need to review and examine its existing rules concerning zoning and subdivision applications on Casper Mountain, and it's deemed necessary to enact this moratorium in order to permit the county adequate time in which to consider and draft suitable rules for this purpose. Specifically, the moratorium is intended to temporarily prohibit review of development applications, creation of new subdivisions, or rezoning of existing parcels on Casper Mountain, which would be ranges 78, 79, and 80 west in Township 32 north, until completion and adoption of the Casper Mountain Land Use Plan and the new zoning resolutions, or for a period of up to 6 months, whichever is sooner. At present, the county zoning resolution and subdivision resolutions may not adequately regulate proposed land uses and parcel splits. The land use plan has also not been updated since 2004, and public input and community guidance is needed to refine and revise the goals and policies outlined within the plan. If the county allows development applications on Casper Mountain during this time, the goals of the plan may be undermined or damaged. The moratorium is considered necessary and useful in temporarily inhibiting development until the plan is updated and satisfactory regulations are considered and possibly adopted. The moratorium is again temporary in nature and will suspend the provisions of the zoning resolution and subdivision resolution, which require the development department to accept, process, and review land use and subdivision applications within statutory time periods. And so with that, staff recommends the Planning Commission recommend adoption of the Casper Mountain Development Application Moratorium to the Board of County Commissioners. And I can try to answer any questions along with our legal counsel.
Any questions for Megan?
You don't have any current applications, nobody's filed.
We did receive one on submittal day last week, so. Well, I'll work with Ms. Reed and Deputy, or County Attorney Nelson on how we approach that application.
Because it was before what we're doing here tonight.
Correct.
Can you tell us what?
It's a 5-lot subdivision on Circle Drive, a major subdivision.
Okay.
I guess my other question would be, is there foreseeable that there would be some type of emergency where somebody would need to have something done for any kind of reason? And I guess if that were the case, then on a case-by-case basis, we could evaluate those.
I think Charmaine may be able to help us, but I think if there was an emergency, it would probably allow the county the ability to review and take action if needed.
My attorney answers, it depends. I would say probably not. There's probably not an emergency that would warrant special treatment. And, we have to try and avoid special treatment of any property owner. The thing that jumps into my head is maybe a fire with total destruction or something, but we'd have to look into that.
And building permits would still be permitted, so hopefully it'd be few and far between that an emergency would occur that we'd have to look at this. But building permits would still be allowed, just not changes in use or new lot splits.
So obviously a question would be, it's 6 months or adoption of the Casper Mountain Land Use Plan. Can you give us, you're probably going to do that anyway, status report on the land use plan?
Yes, so for the land use plan, we're looking at a draft for the public in probably late February, early March.
Okay.
And we're having a steering committee meeting Thursday for the zoning code update. And I think the consultant's going to give us a better timeline on final review timeline for that document Thursday. But Commissioner Gutierrez is also on the committee. He might be able to help a little bit, but I think we were looking at this summer adoption. Does that sound right?
Is this Casper Mountain Land Use Plan now? We're
That'd
talking
be for
about
the
zoning.
Hopefully we can do both of them. The Casper Mountain Land Use Plan will need to come first because we're going to create rules in the zoning resolution based on goals and policies that are created in the land use plan.
Okay.
Our goals we want to achieve in the plan, our rules should help us meet those goals.
So both of those documents should be, at least in draft form, by end of February or 1st of March?
Early spring, yeah.
Okay. Okay, any other questions for,
So are we
Megan?
supposed to act on this tonight and
So
vote for it?
staff would recommend, yes, that you recommend the Board of Commissioners adopt or enact the moratorium.
So they wouldn't adopt it till the February 1st meeting?
Correct, because after your recommendation, you certify your recommendation, then we need to provide 14-day public notice prior to the BOCC.
So this wouldn't go into effect till probably,
Till February 1st, if the board adopts it.
so this person that's already applied, we owe it to them to complete what they've applied for?
Probably, and that's, as I said, I'll work with Ms. Reed and County Attorney Nelson on how to process that.
And the answer's not, is not necessarily.
I guess I didn't understand that.
I wonder why. So would the county have to work with the applicant? Not necessarily. There's no vested right in an application.
It may not come to us, is what you're saying?
It depends.
So just because they applied, as I understand it, doesn't mean that they actually are grandfathered in because we don't act until tonight and the commissioners don't act until supposedly February 1st.
Right.
Okay. All right.
And Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
Yes.
If you are inclined to recommend this moratorium, I have a suggested motion for you that's it's slightly different than what you have before you.
Okay. All right.
Question. The Casper Mountain Land Use Plan, is that made up of people that live on the mountain and so on and so forth?
There's not a steering committee for the Casper Mountain Land Use Plan update. However, we did host an open house there in October. And it was highly attended, very well attended. I think we had almost 50 people there. Comments on the information we provided at that open house were due on Monday, but we do have a whole website set up on the county website just for the Casper Mountain Land Use Plan, and we have had quite a bit of interaction on there, people going through the presentation and submitting comments that weren't able to be at that open house, but we're trying to get a very active public input process going with that, because we recognize that, they're the people up there and they have a lot of input to give in terms of the revising the goals and policies and goals within the plan. So
So is there-
we're trying as hard as we can to get as much public input as we
Right.
can.
So is there people that are going to be affected by this, know about this moratorium?
I don't know if I can answer that tonight.
I guess it will be in 14 days.
They will be
huh?
informed in 14 days. We'll publish the notice on Sunday.
So I guess I'm confused. What's the difference of enacting a moratorium and people don't know about it, but yet if somebody wants to do a subdivision or a land use change, everybody gets to know about it?
The public will be notified of the moratorium. There's no statutory public notice requirement for you all to consider consider recommending, there we go, the moratorium to the Board of Commissioners. However, we do and we will provide public notice prior to the BOCC holding a hearing and considering the moratorium and your recommendation.
So I guess my 2 cents worth on the moratorium is going back to Mountain Acres, that process that we went through basically all of last year, and I think it even was into 2020 when we started. I wouldn't say it's broken, but the whole process up there definitely needs a refreshment done. And if the intent of this moratorium is to get the county's ducks in a row so that things are more equitable for everyone and more organized, and certainly giving folks a chance to come in, I would assume that's going to be part of anything that the commissioners have their meeting on February 1st. I mean, that's essentially going to be a public hearing there as well.
It will be a public hearing.
So there's going to be plenty of opportunity there for folks to speak out. But I do think it's time to regroup, and let's have a better Casper Mountain.
And Mr. Chairman, well said, and I guess I'll just add from staff's point of view that, Holly and I are newer, and we weren't around for some of the Mountain Acres discussions, but the moratorium, as you stated, will allow the county to get their ducks in a row and also gather that public input, the public input you were hearing at your hearings and the BOCC was hearing, and the rules that you have in place now that maybe aren't clear and aren't giving you and staff and the BOCC good decision-making abilities, and, having that updated land use plan with lots of public input guiding the updated goals and policies will help us create rules that hopefully will help us address development applications on the mountain that will be equitable to all and that everybody can be happy with the outcome.
At a minimum, I would hope that the land use plan is going to have some closure or direction on public roads on the mountain.
I anticipate that we'll definitely have a section about that, that will give the county, a vision and goals for how to address public roads and access on the mountain, and then utilizing that vision to create rules in the subdivision regs and the zoning regs that will help us address the issues and hopefully clean it all up.
Okay.
I think it'd also be useful versus trying to go back, 150 years and figure out was it on a plan? And I don't know whether you can just say, with this new thing, that these are the county roads and the other ones aren't, or whatever.
Right, hopefully the land use plan will have a goal that the county needs to identify roads on the mountains and whether they're public, whether they're private, whether they're county, who's maintaining them, and some steps that the county can take separately, because, the plan is not a rule document. It's meant to guide us in adopting new rules, or, if the commissioners wanted to create a committee or take some steps to go through the process to figure out the road issue on the mountain. But that at least gives this board and future boards direction, saying, hey, the plan document and the public said this is important priority to us. Get on it.
Okay. Anything else for Megan? Any further discussion? Chair would entertain a motion on the issue of establishing a moratorium for development on Casper Mountain.
I'd like to hear the proposed motion.
I assume that means you're willing to make the motion once you hear it.
She tells me we're illegal to
Okay.
what we're supposed to say.
Yeah, thank you. So I suggest that this board recommend that the Board of County Commissioners adopt a resolution instituting a moratorium on subdivisions and zone changes on Casper Mountain.
The memory's probably not. So,
I would motion that the the Planning Commission institute a moratorium for the Casper Mountain development for subdivisions and zone changes until, and I think the closeout was whenever the new planning document is finished, or 6 months, or whatever comes sooner.
Yes.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll call for the question. All in favor of the Natrona County Planning and Zoning Commission recommending a moratorium on Casper Mountain development, as stated in the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends the moratorium to the BOCC. All right. Anything else on the agenda for tonight? We have public comment, but no public here unless you, Natrona County people want to say anything? Didn't think so. All right. Oh, wait, actually, I got it. Chair would accept a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn this meeting January 11th at 6 o'clock.
I second it.
All right, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.